Hello and welcome to our YouTube channel. In today's video, on my first video, I am going to be talking about whether or not I believe GCSEs and A Levels will be delayed next year. So I probably should have started this channel a lot earlier, maybe in January, February or March when I was following it probably the most. But I've decided to follow it now because I just thought, why not? And if it's a continuing issue, I thought it's a lot easier to hear from me than it is hearing it from 20 other news stations. So about 2 or 3 days ago, this was first kind of heard of on BBC News from Labour, because Labour are they think there's a massive kind of hurdle for students to climb, especially in schools that have not been able to teach as well, especially over the online kind of section, especially in the summer term. And they are asking for the exams next year to be delayed. As you can see, you can't see, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, Mr. Williamson has already said that GCSEs and A Levels are already likely to be later next summer because they believe that a lot of students have lost time to catch up on the work since lockdown. And so that is one way, is either just delaying it. So instead of it just being between May and June, maybe pushing it back to July and August. Another thing that teachers are kind of asking for is maybe to reduce the syllabus to maybe 74% or do less papers to kind of spread it out. I think that the less work would kind of help, but I guess it's very unfortunate for those who have done the work. So I guess it is quite a hard scenario to be in. But another way in which they're thinking about, well, it's actually been declined now, was to let students study part of the syllabus, maybe a sixth, and then sit that exam, or a third, and sit that exam, so they could break it up into chunks, but they just thought that was too much stress, especially for the students. And one of the other reasons I'm kind of doing this, not just for GCSEs and A Levels, but I think there's been not very much transparency with the whole COVID situation. So I just thought that I've been following it very regularly every day, and I may not be the best source, but I just thought it'd be interesting to share my thoughts with you all. So yeah, do I think that GCSEs and A Levels need to be delayed? I think it's very hard, but I think they're going to stay it very soon. With the whole situation going on, it's quite hard to predict what's going to happen, and especially with it kind of getting a bit worse in Europe and everyone going back to school now. It's just whether or not there's a second wave, to be honest. I think that's the main kind of problem. But I do think that if the government do decide to delay it or to cancel them, I think they have got to be a bit more transparent this time. Because last time, well, this year, especially around March time, they said GCSEs were cancelled, and then they kept changing what was going to happen. So initially there was a case of, all right, GCSEs are cancelled. Then they didn't say anything for about a month, and then they said to the news, they said to all the news stations, okay, it's going to be based on predicted grades. It's going to be based on mock results, and you're going to rank them within a year. And there was no real mention of an algorithm initially, but even just asking teachers, there wasn't very much transparency. Even the teachers just kind of had to learn from the news, which I think the government could be a bit more transparent about. And then that changed, and there's the algorithm and whatnot. And when the actual results were coming out, there wasn't much. People didn't really know what was happening. And then the A Levels came out, and a lot of people lost university places because their grades had been downgraded by the algorithm. And then they'd lost their place. And then a few days later, when they tried to fill up the university, their place had been taken by someone else who had been upgraded or had the grades now. And then there was a U-turn, and so people were just giving their predicted grades. And so when people actually deserved their university places, those places were taken away, which was actually an enormous problem. But it's just things like these that it could actually severely impact people's lives. So I just think there needs to be a bit more transparency. But yeah, do I think they'll be delayed? I'm not really sure. It kind of depends what happens in the next year. I do feel it is quite early to call it now, because if they are going to be sat next August, that's literally about a year away. But I do think they need to kind of sort out the situation now. Otherwise, you'll have a lot of confused students who are not sure what to do. But yeah, sorry for this. I've kind of been all over the place with this first video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it helps you out. I'll hopefully be trying to give you daily updates on different things. So I hope you enjoyed, and goodbye.